What is up, y'all? I'm Benjamminoutdoors, and this is my channel.
What is up, y'all? Welcome back. So today I'm actually headed to go look at another bike. So I don't need another bike, but this one's in good condition. Now, most of the bikes I buy, obviously rough condition or need a lot of work. This one doesn't. Now, typically that bites me in the tail, but that's because I pay full price for it. This one is listed well below the going rate for this bike. So it is actually a 2006 DRZ400s, so not the supermoto model, just the dirt model. But the motor is like the same from like 2002 to freaking like 24. They're like all the same motor, as far as I know. So there's not much difference if you buy a 2006 or a 2026. It's gonna be really similar engine-wise, and really everything else-wise. But regardless, this one was like 12,000 miles. Runs good, clean title. So the prices don't change much. So a 2006 and a 2015 are probably going to be kind of similar in price. This one was actually listed at $2,600. Clean title, 12,000 miles, runs good. I was like, listed last night for like 30 minutes and I saw it. So I messaged them, set up a meet for today, and we're gonna go check it out. See if it's as good as it looks. If it's not, I might lowball them or I might not buy it. I don't know. But if it looks good and runs well, I'll probably buy it. So I met up with them, and as you can see, we're at a storage facility, which tells me they don't ride the bikes much. Just because, obviously, if it's not at your house, you can't just hop on it and, go. You have to, obviously go to the storage facility, unlock the door, pull them out, get them started, jump them off if you need to. And that's what happened with this one. It wouldn't start because it had a dead battery. So, she had it listed for $2,600, which is already super cheap for a DRZ. And, it's got like 11,000 miles. It's an 06, so it's a little bit older, but they don't really change the motors. They're basically the same exact bike from whenever they came out to like basically new. Basically what they come out with nowadays. It's the same motor, not much difference. So this is basically a great bike. She ended up taking $2,400 for it, which I think is a steal. There it is loaded up. Now it's all stock. It's actually got lower links in it too, but it's got all stock rear fenders. It's it's a little ugly, but it's, stock. It's great. It means it hasn't been modified out the wazoo. So we're gonna take it home, get a new battery for it. It was originally yellow, so the tank is a metal tank and it's painted yellow. So I thought it was a plastic tank, but I guess that's the newer ones. So we're going to, leave it as is because there's no need to mess with it. But I got the yellow fairings and everything. So if we want to convert it back to yellow, we can, but it will look sweet behind the truck as is. So I'm super excited. Let's get it home. Here she comes. Let's see what she's going to say.
Gosh. What are you doing?
What does it look like?
Do you want me to leave?
What do you think about it?
It looks old.
It's actually their styling. They have the same style. Believe it or not, the 2022s, 2023s look the exact same. This one has regular forks versus the inverted forks.
So are you going to spend more money to make it look better?
If I did, it'd be like a $30 headlight or something like that.
Okay, I'm going to keep you to it.
I need $100 for the Kickstarter. That's for liability issues. And then maybe another 100 for like fender deletes and stuff.
Okay.
So, but other than that, what do you think?
I didn't look at it very well, so I don't know.
She's not a bike person, so she hates bikes.
You know that.
Heck yeah, the new whip.
Good condition tires, front and rear, new plastics all around. It's like nothing is scraped on the engine. I mean, I think these are just tiny itty bitty scuffs. I mean, a little bit of scuffs there. Could use some new fluid, but still, man, this thing is killer. Heck yeah, I can't wait to rip this thing around the street. Wheelie monster, I bet.
So I think I spoke too soon when I said this thing ran great. Now, going full throttle down the road, it's great. It sounds good, runs good, but when you have it idling here and you blip the throttle, just a little blip, it knocks. Like it's an aggressive knock. And so now I gotta figure out what that is. I mean, I don't know why it would just be when you blip it and why it wouldn't make the sound when, you know, you're actually driving it. I don't know. I don't know if it's some of the loose components in the bottom end. It kind of sounds like it's in the top end. I used my stethoscope and it sounded like it's in the top end. So I'm going to disassemble everything, kind of just give it a once over in the top end, check it out. And if it's not in there, I'm gonna have to move to the case covers. Because there are a few things inside the clutch and the stator cover that are known for coming loose. But again, it sounds like it's coming from the top end. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I was hoping that this thing would be good. I didn't have to do anything to it, but I obviously spoke way too soon.
Holy cow, it's not leaning over enough now. It's almost like, obviously it has lowering links on it, but I haven't had a problem with it almost falling over yet. I gotta put those stock links back in so it raises it up again. So I'm gonna use my stethoscope and put it on the cases to try to verify where it's coming from exactly before I, you know, get too deep into it. I'm just going to probably pull the tank off, pull the valve cover off, make sure the motor is in time correctly. For some reason it sounds like something's hitting. I don't know, honestly. I mean, the engine sounds healthy until you blip it. So this is gonna be interesting to try to chase down, because it does sound like it's really loud up around here, up into the top of the engine. Slash, you know, I don't know if it's backfiring. I don't know, honestly. This is frustrating on what I thought was a great condition bike.
So I just emptied the fuel, and that's what it looks like. So it looks a little old, and there is such thing as a fuel knock. So I'm wondering if this is old fuel that has a lower octane, and it's causing it to knock when I blip the throttle. So I have some 93 over there. I'm gonna throw that in here and see if the sound goes away, because that would be amazing if it did. So I emptied the fuel in the carburetor and in the gas tank. So it should be running with fresh fuel. I also put a little bit of seafoam, just a tad bit, like a cap's full. So we should be good. Let's just hope and pray that's the issue, is old fuel. So I went to take it for a test ride after I let it warm up for a few minutes, and, well, it's still doing it, unless, I don't know, maybe it needs to be ran more before the fuel actually gets out of the full system. But, I mean, I emptied the carb bowl and I emptied the fuel tank, so it should be fresh fuel in it, so I don't know if that's the issue. Okay, so I tore the bike down all the way to, well, where I can access the top of the motor.
So I pull the spark plug out, and I actually need to rotate the engine so the piston is all the way at the bottom so I can actually see. I don't think that there's piston contact, but I'm not ruling it out yet because it obviously when you rev it up normal, it sounds great. It sounds like a really healthy engine, but I have no clue what the sound is. It's almost like a backfire, but it sounds violent. It sounds like, you know, I don't know, it doesn't sound good. It's hard to describe, but it sounds like clanking. And it's only when you blip the throttle. But anyway, I want to check inside the engine to see if there's any piston valve contact. I want to check the timing. I want to, if that looks, you know, all looks good, I'm going to, you know, obviously check everything. I might as well check the valve clearances while I'm in here. I mean, I might as well go over everything. I thought this was an aftermarket carburetor, but it's a Mikuna or whatever. I think that's stock. So that's a stock carburetor, I believe, which is good. That's great. I thought this was an aftermarket carb, so that is a plus. But hopefully, this thing doesn't seem like it's been messed with much. So I can't imagine anything was done wrong. The previous owners seem pretty solid. They weren't like sketchy people. So I've already messaged them, and they said it wasn't making the sound when they had it, which I think it's unlikely because I've driven it less than 3 miles. But, you know, you have to like blip the throttle, like just barely blip the throttle for it to make the sound. And they probably weren't doing that. So they're probably just driving it like normal, which maybe it's just because I'm anal and I'm, you know, just paranoid. I'm actually going to contact a few of my buddies who have DRZ400s and maybe get them to try to mimic the same situation and see if theirs does it. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If it does, maybe I'm fine. Maybe it's perfectly okay. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I just want to make sure this thing is in tip-top shape because I don't want to be stranded with this thing. I mean, I plan to do some crazy fun things with this, and I want to be able to not worry about, you know, being stranded, because that would suck. So anyway, let's go ahead and pull off this plug, and then obviously this plug, because that's what you use to actually look at the top dead center. And we're going to rotate the crank until the piston's at the bottom. All right, so now I'm going to check the cylinder. And the cylinder walls look great. So I think we're pretty good. No piston to valve contact. But now I'm going to check the timing just to make sure we're good on that front. Now I'm going to check the compression. Now we're going to hook it up. We're going to run it. Yikes. That's real low, I feel like. I think it jumped up to 100 one time, but wow. Around 80 PSI. That seems pretty low. So I got a new battery. So I kind of ordered this before I knew the condition of that one. That one was dead because the bike was sitting for a while, but I think it's actually in okay condition. But I'm changing this out regardless because I'm wondering if I can get higher compression to see if this motor will be turned over quicker with this battery. And maybe it'll get higher compression, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm grasping at straws because I don't know why it's such low compression. It seems to run fine, and it smoked a tad bit, but still, it's not like smoking a lot or anything. I didn't feel like it was low compression. Maybe it is, I don't know. Dumbfounded. I'm wondering if it might need a new top end, which is stupid. I just bought it, and I don't want to have to put a top end on it. But anyway, I'm going to test the battery real quick. This is actually a Top Dawn, this battery tester. So I'm going to click battery test. I think this is a AMG. No, it's a gel, sorry. It's a gel. Cold cranking amps is 120. Good battery. 100% health, 100% charge, 12.81 volts. So obviously I just bought this, so it should be good, but that's just to confirm. Okay, I got the new battery in, so let's see what the compression comes up to. Okay, so around the same, around 80. So I'm assuming this actually has an auto decompression on the exhaust cam, sort of like my YZ450. When it stays running, the centrifugal force actually slings the little auto decompression like basically open. So during the actual cycle of the engine, it won't leak anything out. But at slower speeds, while you're kicking it over, it'll actually let air escape and won't be really, really hard to start. So I think that's what it is. So I think the method to test this is going to be a leak down test instead of obviously compression test. So let's go get that, see if we can do that real quick, and then we'll probably pull the valve cover off, check the timing. So I got my cylinder leak down test right here. I got it set at 0 and it's not hooked up yet. I got the cylinder at top dead center, and if it's not correct, if it's not on the right stroke, I'm gonna have to do it 360, rotate it again, and then it should be at the correct top dead center to where everything is closed, the compression stroke. So I'm gonna hook this up, I'm going to put air to it, and let's see. Okay. So currently I'm at a 20% loss. It's going at the top. For some reason it's coming out of the spark plug hole. But so far it's reading pretty good. I mean, it's very little leakage. I think the engine is in perfect working condition. I think I was just deceived because the auto decompression was causing the cylinder to lose pressure. I'm going to go ahead and pull the valve cover off. So the engine is at top dead center, so all I have to do is pull the valve cover off and I'll be able to see the cams and see if they're all lined up where they should be. And then we'll put everything back together after I inspect the whole valve train, and then hopefully we can try to figure this issue out. If it's not in the top end, it's somewhere else, I guess. I'm going to pull all the adapters out. Now we're going to put a brand new plug in it. I got the dielectric grease up here and then the anti-seize down here. So this plug's good to go. I'm going to gently put it down in the cylinder. All right, nice and snug. Ooh, these are tight. Golly. Golly. Don't know if these ever been taken off. They're on there tight. Get the piston exactly back to top dead. So you got top dead down there. It's hard to see, but there's the line on the left side of that white one. And there is a line there. And there's the lines. Now it's not like flawless. There I think is like perfect. And that's a little off. It's definitely a little off, but I don't think it's out of timing by any means. I think that's pretty dang spot on. I'm wondering if it could be a bad timing chain tensioner. Like maybe when you just blip the throttle, it does something different than when you're full throttle. I don't know. I mean, everything looks pretty good up here. I'm gonna inspect the valves, see what it looks like. Just because I'm here, I'm gonna make sure all these bolts up here are tight, and then we'll go from there. So I'm about to check the valve clearance, and I was gonna look for spec online, but on a lot of bikes, you actually have spec on your bike itself. Like right there, it says the spec. So I'm just gonna go off that, obviously, because that's the sticker from the factory. I think it said 0.10 to 0.20 for the intake and 0.20 to 0.30 for the exhaust. So we'll see, and we're gonna test it out real quick. Should be in spec because this motor is only got 12,000 miles on it, and it looks pretty good. But I just want to check it because I'm in here. So it looks like we're in spec. Both these were on the low side of the spec. They're around closer to 20. Both of these were, one was like 0.18, one was like 0.13. So they were kind of in the middle. They're all in spec though. So we're gonna put the valve cover back on, and we probably won't touch this for 5 to 10,000 miles, depending on obviously, you know, how we look, how hard we run this thing, I guess. But anyway, let's slap this thing on. So we're gonna put the tank back on, so make sure the rubber grommets are right here on the frame above the head. Everything else is good, so I'm going to fit it on. Alright, nice and tight. Got the 8 mils up here. The fuel line back. I'm going to mess with some of this wiring later for the lighting system because it has some aftermarket lighting on it. Put this side back on. That might be totally normal. I don't know. Still doing it, obviously. I'm gonna contact some DRZ buddies, see if they have a similar issue, similar noise. And I mean, maybe I'll tear into the clutch cover, see if there's anything loose. I don't know. I mean, it sounds pretty good. I mean, the motor sounds super healthy. I don't think anything's wrong, but again, I don't want to ride it and have it blow up on me or some gears bind up because one's loose and just obliterate everything in the bottom end. You know, that would just really suck. So, anyway, I am done with it right now. I appreciate y'all watching. So, I probably will do some modifications to this, but for the most part, I'm gonna leave it stock. I might do a front fender, a new headlight, just to make it look a little bit better. Maybe a fender eliminator kit. But this bike is basically how I want it because I'm gonna slap it on the back of this puppy, and we're gonna experience so many cool things together. My wife is gonna have a blast. I'm gonna have a blast. It's just gonna be a super fun time. I wanna be able to share all these experiences with y'all. I'm gonna have a lot of moto vlogs. I'm gonna be posting a lot of off-roading in this thing, so it should be a whole lot of fun. And I'm super excited to get ready for that trip. Let me know down in the comments if y'all are excited for the overland build on this truck and for that trip in general. Anyway, till next time, catch you on the flip side.